So you've beaten the main game, you've loaded up Case's mod, and you've turned on all of the challenges in order to get that coveted Skullstorm achievement. But you're going to have to get past the so-called wall of grizzlies 3 times before you meet that final mystery boss. Now, there's a number of ways to do this, and most, but not all, will require creating a card that hits for 5 or more damage, and some useful items from your backpack, and a little help from RNGesus. Methods for beating the grizzlies fall into 3 main categories: create 1 space, 2 spaces, or fly over. This will enable you to then attack the boss directly. So let's take a look at an illustration of these in turn. Firstly, you can create 1 space by breaching the front row of grizzlies in 1 place, anywhere along the front row, or by rotating it clockwise 1 turn to leave this space to attack next. Secondly, you can create 2 spaces by again breaching the front row. These spaces don't need to be next to each other, but it often helps if they are, or by moving the row clockwise 2 turns to leave these spaces vulnerable to attack. Lastly, there are a few ways to circumvent the grizzlies' mighty leap sigil in order to attack the boss directly by flying over them. More on that later. The simplest and most effective way of creating 1 space is by using a card with 6 or more damage and the double strike sigil. No need for any items or worries about positioning. The first strike will create the space, and the second strike will attack the boss directly. A card that has 5 damage and a double strike will also do, but you'll need to defend for at least 1 turn. You can also use 2 cards to attack a single space if one of them has the bifurcated strike sigil, but you may need to defend your row for again 1 turn in order for them to be effective. Using the hourglass means you can effectively defend for 1 turn without taking any damage from the grizzlies. A single card with 6 or more damage will therefore be all you need to win the day. Any card with less damage means that you will have to defend for more than the 1 turn that the hourglass provides. Unkillable rabbits are a perfect option for this scenario. The scissors or the trapper's knife are probably the most effective item to have at your disposal. You will of course need to pair them with a card or cards that can deliver 5 or more damage to the space that they create. No need to think too much about where to position your card, simply snip or stab the grizzly where you want. If you come across the trapper on your travels and you have enough teeth, then purchasing the trapper's knife is a really good option. Remember though that this is a one-time purchase only. The Wise Clock is another powerful backpack item. But before using the Wise Clock, ensure that your damaging card is placed on the second slot from the left. Once the clock has turned, your card will be opposite the now empty space on the far left of the row of grizzlies as you look at it. You can now attack the boss directly. Combining the Wise Clock with the Hourglass allows more time for you to create the space necessary to attack the boss, particularly useful if you have weaker cards at your disposal. Using the Magpie lens, or its card-borne sigil, is another good combination when used with the Wise Clock. You may have a powerful card, but it's not much use at the bottom of your deck. Likewise, it may be in your hand, but you need to pull out a black goat from your deck in order to play it. If you have the clock, but only a 4 damage card, then those pliers that you thought were pretty useless come into their own by reducing the required winning damage by 1 point. Creating 2 spaces in the row of grizzlies allows you to use a pair of cards to deliver the 5+ damage required to beat the boss. Easiest way to do this is to use 2 cutting items, 2 pairs of scissors, or a scissor and knife combo, for instance. If you have 2 clocks at your disposal, then ensure that your damaging cards are placed in the 3rd and 4th slots from the left, so that when the clocks turn twice, they can deliver damage to the empty spaces created. Another way to create 2 spaces is to use the clock in combination with the scissors or knife. A pair of cards totaling 5 damage will again do the trick. In order to attack the boss by flying over the grizzlies, we need to deal with their Mighty Leap sigil, and there are a couple of ways to do this. Firstly, by using the paintbrush and then attacking the boss with a card or cards with the airborne sigil. Secondly, if you have no cards with the airborne sigil, you can first use the paintbrush followed by the fan. This gives your attacking cards the same effect as if they had the airborne sigil. One advantage of combining the paintbrush with the fan is that multiple cards can then attack your opponent. Lastly, we come to the starvation strategy. Although you can't attack this card directly, you can fly over it by taking advantage of the fact that it does not possess the Mighty Leap sigil. Timing is crucial here, both in prolonging the fight before the grizzlies drop and disposing of all your cards, remembering also that you have 10 aqua squirrels in your deck. Contrary to some beliefs that it's random, my experience is that starvation will drop opposite the card it sees as the greatest threat, so use this to your advantage. The Lammergeier is a great card to use for this method. Just ensure though that you generate enough bones to increase its strength. I hope you found some of this video helpful and that you can celebrate beating all 3 grizzly drops and the final boss, leaving you feeling victorious. Thanks for watching.